versus Nigeria decides, and we are now looking at the call for a part-time legislator. Some say it will save overall cost of governance and enhance efficiency.
Well, of course, some concerned parties and analysts have recommended a part-time legislature in Nigeria, especially at the federal level, and that's despite the strident opposition of some national lawmakers to the suggestion. To analyze this, of course, to the analysts, rather, lower salaries and allowances for the legislators would reduce number of legislative aides, will attract only the most patriotic and selfless representatives with no corruption incentives. To you, should the Nigeria legislature be made part-time, as being practiced in around 10 states in the United States of America? To discuss this with us this evening, we have joining us back Gbenga Ayonuga, political analyst. Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
We also have Olabode John Wesley. He is a media consultant as well as a politician. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me once
Now,
again.
Gbenga, we have the call for a part-time legislature, and then behind the scenes we were having a conversation and you say, well, that's not the solution. What's your thought exactly on this call and the way forward?
Well, the solution is having stronger institutions rather than stronger individuals, not because apart from the 10 states in the US that are practicing part-time legislature, I've not seen any country as a whole practicing part-time legislature. I tried to search for it online, while waiting, but I couldn't find. And the issue is about having stronger institutions whereby the legislator will not wake up year in, year out and increase their own overhead costs. We have the issue of Lagos State legislator having 28.8 billion naira overhead costs, the National Assembly having hundreds of billion as overhead costs. And it's because we don't have strong institutions. When we have strong institutions, that will not happen because they do not have a say on the overhead cost that comes to them.
Let me bring you in here, John. We're talking about the Nigerian legislature as it is now. We know that in the past year, they went on a lot of annual recesses, vacations, and all that. Don't you think that even though we are paying them as full-time legislators, that in reality, we have a part-time legislature in Nigeria?
Yeah, I agree with you, because in reality we do have, because when you have senators where you can, or legislators where you can count the number of times that they sit in a year, so you can easily figure it out. Where you have a National Assembly being shut down for almost 3 months or 2 months sometimes, and then you wonder what's
why
happening.
Don't we make it constitutional?
So I am of the opinion, I subscribe to the fact that we should have a part-time legislature, because somebody was asking me, when you win election, are you still going to engage in your MC jobs, your other jobs and all of that, acting? And I said yes. And he said, how? You'll be a legislator and then you'll be this? And I said yes. You see, the truth remains that we were talking about something offset, and I said we do not have nationalistic people in this country. By the time the function or your duty as a legislator is on a part-time basis, when we need you, you come, and we have it like that, you will face other businesses. It will be less attractive to those who want to steal. That's the truth. There are people who come with the mindset who believe that once you are going there, there is money to steal. You have free money. That's just the word, free money.
So what punitive measures or what consequences should we now put in place? So where should we make amendments to ensure that those we have at the 8th Assembly or our legislators in Nigeria today are optimal, efficient, and deliver spot on?
They should not resign their jobs. Let me tell you something. Take, for instance, as a young candidate, you want to run for office. You are earning some amount and all of that. And because you want to run for office, you have to resign from your job. Or you have to leave whatever thing that you're doing because you want to serve. It's a call to serve. So if I'm being called to serve, doesn't mean that I should give up so many things that actually is supposed to be personal life, you understand? So if we're able to create such that people who are to serve us, people who are to occupy office, are also still managing their own affairs, and then maybe you have to be here maybe 3 times.
Then the focus of the pressure of having to make money.
Do you understand? So
I think the major issue here is saving costs. That is why
Cost
people
of
are
governance.
caught. That's why people are caught. So even if you have them on part-time basis, they can still award all this overhead to themselves, even as part-time lawmakers. So the solution is having to strengthen our institutions, whereby we know that for the next 5 years, this is what goes to the judiciary, this is what goes to the legislative, this is what goes for overhead cost, and they cannot increase it arbitrarily. If you check the overhead cost between 2010 and now, you will see the rapid rise in the amount voted for themselves. So if that is the solution, it is not about part-time or full-time. In Ogun State, where I come from, for example, they only passed one bill in the whole of 2016.
Wow.
1 year, 26 member House of Assembly, only one bill, and it was the appropriation of the 2016 budget. And that was all they did for 1 year. But it will still not stop them from appropriating all these overhead costs to themselves,
Thank
even
you
whether
so
they are
much.
part-time or full-time.